If your kid isn't using AI, the sad part is they are going to be left behind.
You know, one of the most preeminent minds in business, it is Elon. How do we not leave him on MasterClass and we can watch things from him 50 to 100 years from now? Welcome to a new episode of Opening Bid Unfiltered. I'm Yahoo Finance Executive Editor Brian Sozzi. Like I say, this podcast will make you a smarter investor. And this specific episode will make you a smarter leader. If you do not get smarter about leadership after this episode, look, just stop listening to me and watching all my podcasts because you got to get smarter after this one. MasterClass CEO Dave Rogier is here in the house. Dave, I can't believe you and I have never talked before, but I'm glad you were here. I've been using MasterClass for a long time. It has made me smarter. I can tell you that. I'm like, I got to ask Dave first, like, well, hello, first of all. And then second of all,
First
like,
of all, hi.
Hi. How do you get these people on this platform? Like, how do you get Bob Iger to sit in front of a camera and just tape some of these things? What's the secret?
It took a year or two to get anybody to actually say yes. It was impossible. And now it just shows you once you have it, it's easier to keep going. We now say no to about 99% of people.
You're saying no to leaders. You're saying no, we can't use it.
Every day now. But in the beginning, I was begging.
Yeah.
Has a class. If you haven't watched that class, that is amazing. Like amazing.
Do you have a favorite one? I mean, is it even possible?
Well, it's really hard to say which one my favorite one. I will say ones that have surprised me, how good they are and how much I've learned. One is we have one from Hans Zimmer, which I cannot carry a beat. I cannot clap on beat. Hans Zimmer class is amazing. The Martha class is amazing. And then we just launched one in the past year with Professor Jeff Pfeffer, who's a business school professor at Stanford, and he teaches like the untold art of power.
I promise you I'm going to get into this business, but I'm telling you, as a subscriber and someone has used the platform, like there are things I need to check off before that, Dave. Could you cook like Gordon Ramsay? Like, is there one or two that you have gained these skills from and you are cooking like Gordon Ramsay? You're planting plants like Martha Stewart. Like, how your brain must explode.
I mean, I'm not anywhere close, but I have improved a lot. So, for example, Steph Curry, like he taught me where to aim on the rim,
Oh, wow.
and so I aim for the front of the rim and the net the notches on the net, and so that's changed how I do it. And I brag to everybody every time I make a shot that Steph taught me that. Yeah.
I learned something new right there because when I shoot a basketball, I'm kind of just aiming for the middle of the hoop. I didn't know he picked out a spot.
I always had to aim at the back of the rim, but that completely changed it for me.
So, all right, let's get into some of the business here. Compared to when you first founded it, I mean, how is it? You know, how like what is the MasterClass of today? I guess the platform.
It's about 285 of the best people in the world who are sharing not only what their craft is, but what they wish somebody had taught them. The level of breadth and depth we have, I didn't even dream about. I mean, it's so much more than that. I think that's the first thing that has completely changed over the last 10 years or grown in the last 10 years. I think second thing that's happened, and it's just been really interesting to watch, is what people want to learn has shifted. And every couple years it has big shifts, and I didn't expect that. So think about it. In the pandemic, people were like, I have a lot of time and I want something to do. So if we made a bread making class that was 12 weeks long, people were like, that's not long enough. I want it more in depth. Now, if you're like, hey, I have a 12-week course, you're like, I have like an hour. And so that has completely changed the amount of time, but it's also what people want to learn. So now I think what is happening and what we are seeing is people are anxious. and people are uncertain. This is about what's happening in the economy. This is what's happening in the business world, what's happening with their own jobs, what's happening on on the politics side. As a result, people can't think as long term, and so they're focused on things that are going to help them now, which means a lot in the health space, on brain health, on your gut health, on your mental mindset, and then two, a lot in the business world. What things can I do now that are going to ensure I still have a job and high income over the next 20 years?
I still gravitate towards. I remember when I first joined MasterClass, it was I need to think and lead like Bob Iger. When I think CEOs of CEOs,
Excellent choice.
right, it's Disney CEO Bob Iger. And then secondarily, I watched the Howard Schultz one because look, I don't
Also
I don't
great.
agree with everything that Howard has done through the years. However, I'll say this though. I mean, he created Starbucks out of like essentially thin air. It was a company that existed, but he took it over. I mean, he made the modern day Starbucks. It is what it is. But um, do you anticipate I don't know, this next 10 years, the next suite of content, maybe there's gonna be people that don't wanna lead like a Bob Iger or invest that time in figuring out what he did, and they need to know how to become like a human AI agent. I mean, there's so much AI out there, and I don't know, we're competing with them for jobs.
I think yes, and the lessons you can learn from a Bob or a Schultz are things you're crazy to not want to know as you try to lead in this next era. Each time a CEO is put in charge, compared to the person before them, it is a brand new world. So, some of the things that we are trying to face have been faced before, and then there's some that are brand new, but at least you're able to learn how to learn, if that makes any sense.
Sure. Is it crazy to think that a lot of these executives enjoy doing what they do for a masterclass because they have so much knowledge. They need to get it out there, and they have not had a venue to get it out there. Sure, they may come on for an interview with me, but that's, condensed 7 to 10 minutes. They're in and out, or they hop into an earnings call. They're talking to employees internally, but they have gained so much knowledge over 20, 30, 40, in some cases 50 years. They have no other outlet, and they need to get it out there. I mean, they're essentially leaving a legacy on your platform.
I think so, and even more than that, they all had somebody in their own life that was a mentor to them, and they want to do that at scale.
Mhm.
I mean, I remember when the first instructors signed up and my pitch to them was why. I was like, "Look, the alternative you have is to go into a classroom at an MBA program and teach 60 kids. Instead of that, I can give you a stadium full."
Mm.
And that type of impact, it's something deep for them.
I was thinking back to when you founded Masterclass that the media landscape was so different. Maybe streaming wasn't exactly where it was. Podcasting, it was around, but not like it is now with these crazy podcaster contracts. What were those early days like? And what made you even think of something like this?
I was working in venture capital, and, um, I don't think I was particularly good at it, and I went to my boss, and I told him, "Hey, I wanna quit, and I wanna go start something." And he goes, "What?" And I said, "I'm not sure yet." And he writes me a check for about 500,000 and tells me to go think of a idea.
Mm.
I was shocked, and honored. And I know this is gonna sound weird, Brian, but it actually became a very dark time in my life because for the first time in my life, I didn't have any constraints. It was a once in a lifetime opportunity. It was all up to me. And you also can't complain about it to anyone. What am I doing? I have a million to do anything I want. It's really hard for me. I'm not getting any hugs. And somebody gave me really great advice. She said, choose something that even if it fails, you would be proud of it. And I thought long and hard about this. And I was raised in part by my grandmother who escaped in the Second World War, came here to to New York. Only job she was able to get was on a factory floor, and she decided she wants to become a doctor. Applies every medical school in the state of New York, gets a no from every single medical school in the state of New York. Applies again the next year, every medical school in the state of New York, gets a no from every single medical school in the state of New York. She starts calling the deans of admissions and asking, "Why am I not getting in?" They all hang up on her, except for one guy who says, "I'll be honest with you. You have three strikes against you. You are a woman, you are an immigrant, and you're Jewish." Hangs up the phone. She keeps working the factory, applies again to every single medical school in New York, gets into one medical school and becomes a doctor. And I remember when I heard the story, and I'm just staring blank at her because that, was an intense story to hear as a kid. And she goes, "Look, David, the point I'm trying to make to you is education is the only thing that someone can't take away from you." And I realized, Brian, if I have this one chance from this investor to do something, I can build something that people can't take away from others. That's what I want to do. And that was the idea to start MasterClass.
Hang with us, Dave. I want to just continue along the story. I want to go just go off for a quick break, and we'll be right back here on Opening Bid Unfiltered. All right, welcome back to Opening Bid Unfiltered. Having a really just awesome chat here with the leader of a company that I've a platform I've used, company that I've just again used for many years. MasterClass CEO Dave Rogier. Um, Dave, you were telling me about your grandmother's story. I mean, is that story does that still drive you? Or I mean, do
100%.
you think about something like that every day, and that's what has separated you from a lot of your competitors?
Yes. I think knowing why you want to do something and why you care about it is really helpful, not only in your mission, and your brand, and your strategy, but also in the hard times because it reminds you why you are working this hard.
Do you realize I use MasterClass, that word, as I use Google. I can't tell you how many times internally I've said, "I wanna create a masterclass for investing." What would that look like? I've been inspired by what you have done. Have you realized that you've crossed over in many respects?
I did not realize it until our legal team showed me a graph of the use of masterclass, the word on Google Trends, and it literally starts to spike when we launch,
Mhm.
and that blew my mind. That was number 1. The second time was on was on the TV show Succession. It was used. All the kids wanted to start a new firm, and they said it was gonna be a mix of, like, Substack and Masterclass, and I was like, "Holy moly."
Did this name just come to you, or did you whiteboard this over a week?
It came to us almost immediately, and then we hired a name advisor because we thought it wasn't gonna be a great name, and then after wasting a bunch of money, we went back to Masterclass.
Wow. So let's talk a little bit about, the future of masterclass. And I don't have to tell you this, but I mean, we have seen massive changes in education in this country. Maybe before we think about where masterclass heads next, like what are your views on where education stands right now in America?
It needs to massively change. The rate of the half-life of skills is decreasing incredibly fast. We actually polled people. 1/5 of folks think the skills now lasts for under 2 years. I wanna put that in context. If I look at my mom and dad, who both became lawyers, what they learned in law school would last them for almost their entire life. If you think about it, every year they would take a day of classes to stay current. Now, if you aren't trying to learn every week, you are out. of date. So number one, I think the skills that we learn are constantly changing. So school isn't enough to learn those skills. School's job now changes. It used to be, I'm going to teach you things that are going to last you a long time. Now the job of school needs to be, I'm going to teach you how to learn so that you're able to learn for the rest of your life.
Are you a big supporter of AI in the classrooms? And I think you and I might be somewhere in the vicinity of the same age. And I was thinking before this how I used to learn. I memorized a lot of stuff. I was a big memorizer, and I always liked to learn things very quick. But I forgot a lot of things very quickly too. By the same
Yes.
token, but I couldn't imagine being in, let's say, 5th grade right now with all these new tools. You have phones, you have all this external stimulation, and now there's new AI in the classrooms, and I'm working off an iPad. It's a lot, Dave. It's a lot.
Okay, Brian, I want to ask you, in school, did you ever have to take tests on state capitals?
Yes, state cap. Yes, and at one point, I could rifle off all the states.
Same thing. Now, what a waste that is. If you think about all the things that we had to learn, like now, like the fact that those things are still being taught in school is nuts to me because the comparative advantage I have as a person is no longer that I know all the capitals, right? It isn't about the rote memorization of things.
Mhm.
It's about the synthesis and the process of those things. What I think so that's number one. Number two, on AI, the results on the impact AI can have in schools are some of the most exciting things I've seen in the last 10 years. The World Bank did a big study where they took 100,000 kids. All of them were trying to learn English. Half of them were just in the classroom. The other half, twice a week, would spend an hour and a half in a guided form of ChatGPT. That second group that used ChatGPT in addition to learn in the classroom, what they found out was 18 of using ChatGPT for 18 hours was equivalent to a year and a half in the classroom.
Mhm.
18 hours was a year and a half, and the results held. Why is that? It's making it about the student. The questions that you're learning to type in and interact with was if you are a soccer fan, was about soccer. If you're a music fan, it's about your favorite bands. So it made it about you. So if AI is not being used in the classroom, if your kid isn't using AI, the sad part is they are going to be left behind.
But I want to go back to something you said too. When we were just talking about Bob Iger. I wish MasterClass existed when I was in 11th grade. Because I didn't go to some elite high school, public school. My college wasn't that great, but in 11th grade, for example, or even 12th grade, if I was able to have direct access to the leadership skills of a Bob Iger over the stretch of 10 to 12 videos, it may have changed the arc of my career in my life. I mean, is this I mean, I don't view masterclass as like curriculum, but is your content getting into high schools? And if not, like how do you get it in there?
It's a really good question. We see lots of kids and their moms and dads our take our classes. Um, we give away our classes to lots of schools. Um, but I don't think it's in there. I don't think it's in enough schools.
Mhm.
I don't think
Like,
it's enough
what
schools.
is it
But
is it more like the schools say, "Hey, you know what? We're gonna still teach this history crap, because they need to know about, like, this guy who died in, like, 1312 or something." I mean, I'd rather learn about Bob Iger. I mean, come on.
for some cases, yes, Brian. The other cases, it is the law. Schools can't change a lot of what they actually teach. So there are some that are behind. There are some that can't change.
Um, a couple fun ones before you go, Dave. One, have you created a master class? Like, if I wanna be an entrepreneur, I wanna study what the hell you did.
I really appreciate that. No, I haven't because I don't think I'm at that level. But
Stop.
I want to share.
Stop it.
I
Stop
want to
it.
share, but I'll share ones I'm working a lot on. So maybe this is the next close thing. Um, After reading that study on the World Bank did, I really wondered if it was going to hold true for adults. So we called up the World Bank and talked to them a lot. We then ran our own study where we took a third of students and had them take a Chris Voss negotiation class. Chris Voss is the former lead FBI hostage negotiator. He's an amazing professor. We had a third of the students in our small test take his class. We then had a third of students use ChatGPT. We then had a third of students take all our learning science, all the things that we figured about what gets people to engage, and use a combination of AI and video on that. That third group learned the same amount as the first two groups on negotiation in one third of the time.
Mhm.
If you think about that, we can basically cut the time it takes somebody to learn by 2/3. In this world of AI, going back to the conversation that you and I just had about skills and how AI changes the world, that is, I think, one of the most important things that exists out there. So what we are doing is we are launching with OpenAI and the Chicago Booth Biz MBA program, basically what is like a business school for the AI era. It's taught by AI. It's taught by some of the best operators and execs in the world. And it is teaching things that you need to learn in this world, so much so that the employers have already signed up to help recruit out of this group of people. Everybody from from Bain to Morgan Stanley, and we're going to charge only $2,500, which is basically saying this is the new way of business education. I poured my heart and soul into this because I think this is what's going to help people adapt and change in this world.
No, that is amazing, Dave. I was thinking too, one of the most preeminent minds, like in my time in business, the past, 15, 20 years. I mean, it is Elon. I mean, are you trying to get that brain onto your platform? Because I, to get him, first of all, get him to sit down and like tape a series uh, on how to scale up manufacturing, how to grow AI. I mean, he was also in payments with PayPal, how to outwork your competitor. Like, how do we not leave him on MasterClass so that we have him like contained in an environment outside of X and we can watch things from him 50 to 100 years from now?
I totally agree with you. I think he's one of the best entrepreneurs of our era, maybe ever. You do not have to agree with everything that he says and does, but as an entrepreneur, there's so much to actually learn from him. And you can decide to not do it like him if you want, but that is mastery.
Gotta leave it there, Dave. I wish I had more time with you. But I look forward to staying in touch. I think you've created something special there. It's been cool to be a part of this part of your platform, to learn from your platform. It is awesome stuff. Dave, look forward to talking again soon. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it, Brian.
Thank you. All right. Continue to hit me with that love on the podcast platforms, YouTube, all that feedback. Love it all. It makes me better at doing these interviews. Love all the guest suggestions too. Recently, keep those coming. Always looking for a good chat. I'll talk to you soon.